family, welcome back to my channel. Don't really know where to look because I'm filming currently on my phone because during the making of this video my camera broke, so I'm currently getting it fixed. Hopefully it's not a big issue, it's just not turning on, and then it like broke my SD card. The actual SD card like broke on me. So yeah, that's why the video quality is different right now. I am sharing with you guys some Dollar Tree Halloween decor DIYs. This is my only Halloween DIY video I'm gonna have out this Halloween season, so I hope you guys enjoy the DIYs. One DIY I did last year, but I wanted to include it in this video just in case you haven't seen it, because it is my favorite Halloween Dollar Tree DIY I've ever done, and it's the Hocus Pocus book. So I hope you guys enjoy these DIYs. If you do, please make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Let's see if we can get this video to 5,000 thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're not, and click the bell button so you're notified every single time that I upload. With that being said, hopefully I get my camera fixed. Otherwise, videos are gonna look like this from now on. Okay, let's begin. For the first DIY, I'm gonna be using these painting sticks that I got at Lowe's for 97 cents each. I know that Home Depot has them for the same price. Now, I got the smaller ones that come in a 10-pack and the larger ones that come in a 3-pack. Each of them are 97 cents each, like I said. So I went with this route because it was less money than if I would have got the rulers from Dollar Tree, which only come 2 in a pack. So if you want something that's exclusively Dollar Tree, you can go ahead and get the rulers from there. But it just makes more sense to go the painting stick route if you have access to go to a hardware store. What I do is I lay out the painting sticks. I use 2 of the larger ones, and those are the sides. And then I use 4 of the smaller ones. I put 3 of them at the top, and that's where like the signage is gonna go. And then I put 1 a little bit below those 3, and that's where I'm gonna have some brooms go. So once I have them laid out the way that I want them to be, I go ahead and glue them down. I use a hot glue gun to do this. You can use wood glue, which I think is better, but for video purposes, and I knew it wouldn't really fall apart with a hot glue gun, I just went ahead and used the hot glue gun. Once I have everything glued down, I then painted this entire thing with a metallic black paint. The paint is from Folk Art. It is their brushed metal paint in brushed black. I used a painting sponge to paint. I like to use painting sponges a lot because they really get into the crevices and get a good amount of area at once. Once I have everything painted, I then take these letters from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be spelling out broom parking. So I had 2 packs to spell out that because it only comes with 28 letters, and it's not necessarily each letter in the alphabet. It's just kind of mixed. So you want to get at least 2 packs so you can spell out what you want to. So once I had those letters, I painted them an orange color, and then I take the letters and I place them on top of that like thing that I'm starting to make, and I space it out the way that I want it to be before I glue it down, because if I just kind of glue it down and just do it on a whim, there's a good chance the letters are not going to be spaced out nice. They might end up crooked. The broom part might be a little bit too much to the left, or so you want to just place it down first, see how you want it to be, and then commit and glue it down. To glue them down, I used wood glue versus a hot glue gun, because with a hot glue gun the glue dries too quickly, so I can mess up and I'm not able to move the letters around as easily. So I used wood glue instead, because if I make a mistake I can just remove it real easily, versus the hot glue gun where I'm going to be fighting with the letter and trying to take it off of this. Next up, I got these little brooms from Dollar Tree. Now they're decorated more so for harvest, fall decor, not necessarily Halloween. So I am removing all of the little accent pieces that are on it, so like the scarecrow, the leaves at the bottom of it. I just remove them all, so I'm left with just the straw broom. I'll be using 2 brooms for this DIY. What I did is I just glued the brooms to the little signage that I made. I decided that a hot glue gun might not hold the brooms for a very long time, so I decided to take 2 black zip ties for each broom and just kind of tie them around the brooms. I just made an X shape with the zip ties, and I knew with the zip ties there, these brooms weren't ever gonna fall off. Once I have the zip ties placed and cut, I then took these little spiders. They're actually rings from Dollar Tree, and I just placed 2 purple ones around the top of the brooms just because I wanted a little bit of an accent color there. And then that's it for this broom parking. I have seen something like this at Marshall's and I wanted to buy it, but then I was like, you know what, I think I could make it using Dollar Tree products. So this is super cute. I have seen where people have put violators will be towed, so you can always add that to your little decoration if you wanted to. For our next DIY, I'm going to be using one of these tall cylinder glasses as well as one of these ghosts from Dollar Tree. Now I'm actually just going to be using the fabric from the ghost. I'm cutting about 2.5 to 3 inch strips that, and by strips I mean like wide strips, and I'm just using those to create smaller ghosts. So I cut off any excess fabric and I take that excess fabric, stuff it inside of the little strip that I just made, and then I just make the shape of a ghost and a little head at the top. I then take some white yarn and tie it around to keep that excess fabric inside of there. Now I got this idea to do this from Chic on the Cheap. She actually uploaded a picture on her Instagram stories of this little bottle that she bought off of Etsy, and I thought the bottle was so cute. So I was like, oh my gosh, let me try recreating something like that. Hers says here for the booze, and I will link Chic on the Cheap down in the comments below. She has a YouTube channel. She does lots of Dollar Tree DIYs and they're so good, and then she has like the most relaxing voice on top of that, so I highly recommend checking her out. But I got this inspiration, like I said, from an Instagram story she posted where she had bought something and I wanted to create what she had bought. So again, linked down below, and I highly recommend you guys check her out. So once I have the shape of the ghost put together, I take some black paint and I paint on 2 eyes and then just a little mouth. I made 3 ghosts total, and each one was a little bit bigger than the rest. So there's a small, medium, and large one. And you know, you make them whatever size you want, honestly. So next up, I am going to be using pearls actually from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue it under my biggest ghost between the fabric, and then I'm going to glue a ghost on top of the area where the pearl is, so that that ghost that's in front of the bigger ghost looks like it's flying in front of the bigger ghost. I didn't want it to be attached to just the bottom without anything, otherwise it's just going to look like 2 ghosts glued to each other versus one is in front of the other. I glue those 2 ghosts into the glass with some hot glue, and then I take the 3rd ghost, figure out where I want it to be placed, then add some glue to the front of its face, and then glue that against the front of the glass. There probably is a different way to do this, probably using like invisible clear string and then attaching the string to the top of the cylinder glass, but I don't know how you do that, especially if your hand is a little bit too big. I'm actually going to be using this Death by Candy lid. So I got this from Dollar Tree. I took the lid and I'm gluing that to the top of the cylinder glass because I want it to look a little bit more like a bottle or a jar. And Dollar Tree does carry wine looking glasses, but the issue is you're not going to be able to get a ghost through there unless you have a glass cutter to cut the bottom of it and then something to fuse it back together. And I don't know, that's just too much work and it sounds really dangerous. So instead I did this so I could get the ghost inside of there without, you know, cutting off my hand and having to cut glass. Next up, I'm taking some black paint and I am just going to paint the glass with that black paint, but I am keeping an oval shape in the front with no paint on it so that you can see the ghost clearly. After I have all the glass painted, I put some string lights under the bottom so that it's near the ghost and it lights up, and then I have this really pretty glass jar that kind of looks more like a canister with ghost flying in the inside. It's so cute. And like I said, Chic on the Cheap, hers said here for the booze, so hers was super cute. I love our next DIY. From Dollar Tree right now, they have these little glasses that have candles inside of them. So what I decided to do was to melt out the candle wax. I'm going to be using one of these wooden trays from Dollar Tree as well as one of these wooden boxes, particularly the outer box. So what I'm doing is I'm painting these boxes black. I ended up using that metallic black paint that I used on the broom parking sign. I started painting the box first, and I didn't paint every single side because one side was going to be glued to the top of the tray, so I didn't paint that part, and then I just painted the rest of the tray. Then I printed out this sign that says here for the booze. I actually made it on some website called Be Funky. I went to the collage and just put some text, and then they have little graphics, so I used some ghost graphics to make this little sign. So it says here for the booze, and I used some Mod Podge to glue that to the front of the tray. Then I got this little wooden stake from Dollar Tree, comes in a 4-pack, and I ended up gluing a smaller little sign on there that says "Here for the Booze" and it has a ghost on it. This one I got from Google Images. I just typed "Here for the Booze" and chose a picture that I like and printed a small version of it out and just glued that to the stake. And then I painted the bottom of the stake using that metallic black paint. Now I'm just placing the little glasses on top of the tray. You can put them however you like. And then I'm adding one of these little skeletons from this skeleton garland from Dollar Tree. I just cut one of the skeletons off, bend its legs a little bit so it can sit on top of the tray, and then I glue it down. And then I just place that little stake inside of the skeleton's hand. And then I have this cute little tray thing, I don't know, just set up that says "Here for the Booze." So obviously it's supposed to be like "Here for the Booze." And there's little small shot glasses you can use. I mean, they can even be like, what, espresso glasses? Is that what they're called? I don't know. I don't drink. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink coffee, but this is cute to me. This DIY and the glass with the ghost are my favorites. From Dollar Tree, I got these mini glass containers and food coloring. Now with the mini containers, I take the lids off of them, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make mini potions. Dollar Tree does carry mini potion bottles, but I couldn't find them, so I ended up using these. But the mini potion bottles have like a little cork top to them. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the food coloring and I'm putting it inside of the containers, and then I add some water. I'm only doing a drop of each color. I mix some of the colors together, so I wanted a purple, so I mixed blue and red, and then I wanted like a teal or light blue. It was more meant to be teal, but ended up looking like blue, so I mixed blue and green. And then I just add my water. Now, some of the color was too dark for me, so what I did is I just diluted it. So I just poured some of the food coloring out, added more water until I got a color that I liked. I decided to add little things inside of the containers that fit. So I was gonna have like a spider potion. So I added small little spiders to the spider potion, and by small little spiders, just one, because one was enough to fit this tiny little thing. Into the blue potion, I ended up adding some iridescent glitter flakes inside of there, and then inside of the orange potion, that was going to be the skeleton potion, I added some little pieces of a skeleton that I had, and then I just cut it off and placed it inside of there. And then in the green potion, I put just like this small little black branch that I got from a Dollar Tree floral piece. Then I ended up printing out these tiny little potion labels. Now they're still too big for the front of the containers, so I just cut out the wording or the images, just depended on what I liked. And I'll link the Etsy store that I got the labels down in the description. I paid like $2.37 for the labels, and that's what I'm using. Now you have to print them out yourself, so I just printed small versions of them out, and then I printed bigger versions of them that I'm going to use a little bit later on in this video. Once I have all the little labels cut out, I just glue them to the front of my containers. You can go ahead and paint those lids if you want to. I decided to skip on that. Next up, I'm going to be using another one of those boxes from Dollar Tree, and yet again I'm using the outer box, not the little drawer part. Now I am going to be taking some Mod Podge and adding layers of toilet paper on top of the box to make it look more aged and add more texture to the box. So I put a layer of Mod Podge, then I rip pieces of toilet paper and I place that on top of the Mod Podge, and then add another layer of Mod Podge. I'm gonna keep saying Mod Podge, and then add more toilet paper and yet one more layer of Mod Podge. So I end up with this really nice texture that makes the box look more aged. Now I'm going to be using a ruler from Dollar Tree, and I am going to cut it down so that it fits the front of the box. I didn't cut it down perfectly, and I just used a scissor to do this. If you have a tool that can cut through this that isn't a scissor, you can go ahead and do that, but if you don't, a scissor will work fine. You just gotta work the scissor through the wood. Now I'm going to paint the box, and what I did is I took that metallic black paint and I just added a layer of that all over the box. Then I took a brown paint and I stippled the color on, so that means the paint wasn't everywhere, it was just in certain areas on the box. And then I added some black paint, not metallic black paint, but black paint, and I did the same thing where I just added it to certain areas of the box. And then I painted the ruler also with that metallic black paint. So you can see the box looks really cool, it looks really aged out. I really like the way that it looks. After I have the ruler and the box painted, I take the ruler and I glue it to the front of the box. I just used hot glue to do this. Then from that Be Funky website I told you guys about, I made a little sign that says Potion Mini Bar. I printed it out on regular printing paper and I just resized it to be small and I glue that to the ruler. I will try to remember to link the images that I made down below. I just gotta find a website to host it and I just gotta remember, because I swear I do these videos, I upload them and I forget about them for the most part, because then I'm just messing with my son Cooper. So it's just hard for me to remember, but I'll try to remember. Next up, I'm taking these fairy lights. What did I just say? Fairy lights that I got from Dollar Tree, and I placed them in the back of the box, and then I put my potions inside of there. And it looks really cool with the lights. You can really see the potions clearly, and it adds a really cool glow to them. And then the potions that have stuff inside of them, like the spider and the skeleton and the one that has like the glitter inside of it, it really makes those things that have stuff inside pop out. After I've got the potions placed in the inside, I decided to add some spiders around the box. I just used hot glue to glue these spiders around there, and I think it looks even more awesome. And I love this thing. This is one of my favorites out of all these DIYs. I put this inside of my tier tray and it looks so cool. Matt even thought it was cool, because Matt doesn't usually say like, oh, cool DIY, but to this one he was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I love it. It's so cute. Now I decided to make bigger potions. Dollar Tree does carry bottles, but I couldn't find any at the Dollar Tree that I went to, so instead I'm using these $1 bottles that I got from Target in the Bullseye Playground section. They're the same price you're gonna pay at Dollar Tree, and they're little potion bottles. So I took the labels off that were inside of them, then I added water, and then I'm just gonna add my food coloring drops. I will say this, you can't use this DIY or whatever you made next Halloween without dumping the water and then just doing it all over again next Halloween, because I'm sure, first of all, it's going to spill if you're trying to store it, and then the water's going to get super funky. So no, it's more like for this Halloween, and then you got to dump that water. So I did a little zombie potion. I decided to add these little eyeballs that I got for $1 inside of there, but the eyeballs were too big. I thought because they were squishy I was going to be able to slide them through, so I wasn't able to, but by cutting them in half, I was then able to put them inside of the bottle. So I cut them in half and then just pushed them inside of the bottle. I also added one of those little skeletons that I had. It's like a rubbery skeleton, and I pushed that down inside of the bottle. Then I take those labels that I told you about that I bought off of Etsy. I took a bigger one and then I just glue that to the front, and it's a zombie potion. I then decided to make a spider potion, again using one of those Target bottles. I added purple food coloring this time by mixing red and blue, and then I added some spiders inside of that. So super, super cool. I decided to try making one using a Dollar Tree container, so I got this container from Dollar Tree. I ended up removing the saying that was on the front that said pick your own poison with some 100% acetone nail polish remover that I got from Dollar Tree. Now this is going to be a bone potion, and the bone potion label says skeleton tears. I don't really know, but I decided to actually just put some like flour inside of this so that it looked like bone powder. And then I took some of those skeleton garland pieces and cut them up and placed them inside of the flour. So it ended up looking like some type of skeleton bone powder potion. Because when I think of skeleton tears, I just think of regular tears, because skeletons, I don't know, it's a human to me, unless they're talking about animals, but even then it still would be like clear tears. So no, I didn't go that route. If you are wondering about the box that has the zombie and the spider potion, I had gotten that at Target for $5. Now for the next DIY, I'm going to be using these domes that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be painting the bottom part of the dome with that metallic black paint. I don't really like the brown color, but if you like that brown color, you can go ahead and leave it as is. Now with one of the domes, I'm going to be taking some skeleton heads that I got, and I am just going to be gluing them inside of the dome. You got to make sure you don't put too many, because the domes aren't very tall and they're not very wide. They're very small. So I go ahead and I put some skeleton heads inside of one of them. It looks super cool. I then took another dome and I did a different version of this. I took some moss from Dollar Tree and I placed that on top of the base of the bottom of the dome. And then I took again, one of those skeletons from the Garland from Dollar Tree, and I cut the legs off of it so it would fit inside of this, and then I glue that on top of the moss, but I push it down to make sure part of it is sticking to the base, because if it's just sticking to the moss, there's a good chance it's going to keep falling off. And then I add the lid, and now I have these really cool domes for Halloween, and I really like the way that it looks. Like, especially the one that has the moss, it just reminds me of like a skeleton popping out of the ground. Next DIY is so easy. Dollar Tree has these really pretty skeleton tumblers, and I'm going to be using it as a vase. So I take the lid off, and then I take these fairy lights from Dollar Tree and I place them inside of the tumbler. Now the battery pack part of it, I just place behind the tumbler, but it can be placed in the inside if you want it to go on the inside. But I just place it behind because I want to be able to turn it on and off without having to go fishing for the battery pack that's inside of the tumbler. So that's something that's up to you. Now the tumblers are kind of see-through, so when you put those fairy lights inside of them, you're able to see the fairy lights make the tumbler glow, and it looks really cool, especially in the dark. Now I'm going to be taking some floral pieces from Dollar Tree. I got these purple and black floral pieces that have eyeballs in some of the flowers. I use a wire cutter to cut them off of the main stem, and then I just place them inside of the tumbler. And now I have this really pretty looking vase that glows, and it looks so cool, especially since the coloring of that tumbler is cool on its own. It's like this multi-chrome colored skeleton. Next up, we're going to be making a wreath. For my wreath form, I'm going to be using this web from Dollar Tree. Now this time around, I'm going to be using a non-Dollar Tree product. It's this purple leaf garland I got for $3 from Target. I'm going to be using 2 of them. I had them on hand. I didn't know what to do with them, so I decided to add them to my wreath. And it's good because it gives a base for other pieces I'm going to be applying to this to stick to. So I went ahead and glued one of those little garland pieces to the bottom, and then another one to the top of that web. Then I'm going to be taking more of those flowers that I used previously that have the eyeballs from Dollar Tree. I just removed the flowers off of the stems, so there's no stem to them at all, and then I glue them down onto my wreath. And because I have that leaf garland there's a nice base for the flowers to stick to, versus if I'm just trying to stick them directly to that web, it'll be a little bit harder because there's not much surface for those flowers to stick to. Before I glue any of the flowers down, I do place them first, figure out where I want them to be glued, and then glue them, because it's not too forgiving with hot glue to glue them down and then try to rip them off. Next up, I'm going to be using these purple berries that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm only using one stem of them, and to get the most out of the stem, I cut the berry pieces to get smaller pieces. I place them around the wreath, figure out where I want them to be, and then I glue them down. Now I'm going to be using those spider rings that I used in a previous DIY, and I'm just going to be gluing them to the web part of my wreath. And then I am going to be adding some orange and purple ornaments that I got from Dollar Tree. I used 3 purple ones and 3 orange ones, glue them down. And then I have this really cool Halloween wreath. And what I like about it is it's different than just using the regular round wreath form from Dollar Tree, because I used the web. It looks like this really cool web wreath. And the spider glows in the dark, so that's an added plus. By added plus, I meant added bonus. My brain doesn't function anymore. For our next DIY, I'm going to be using the skeleton tea light candle holders I got from Dollar Tree, as well as some succulents. They are carrying pastel color succulents right now, so that's what I decided to go with. But they also have more Halloween color succulents if you want. There's red ones and dark purple ones. It's up to you. So what I do is I take the top of the succulent off, so the wire part that's at the bottom is gone. I had to use a wire cutter for one of them, but then the other two, the wire part just kind of fell off. Then I take the succulents and I just glue them inside of the tea light holders, and now I have these succulent skeleton things. I don't know, they look really cool, and they were only $2 to make each of them. And when I saw these things, that's instantly what I thought of to put succulents inside of them. Now for our next DIY, I am going to be using this Death by Candy little jar that I got from Dollar Tree. And then I'm just going to be adding candy inside of there. So I went with classic candy, and I don't even like this candy. Let me know down in the comments below if you like candy corn. I think it's disgusting. It tastes like syrup to me. But that's what I added. And then I'm going to be placing some of those skeletons from the skeleton Garland, and it's really simple to do. It just looks like death by candy. There's skeletons reaching in for the candy, and it's death by candy. Really simple. Now for the next DIY, it's simple as well. I just got these skeletons from Dollar Tree, and I painted them, one a pastel pink color and one a pastel purple color. I then take these rhinestone stickers from Dollar Tree, and I cut down the individual ones that I can use as eyes on the skeleton. So I just place them there, and then I have these really pretty skeletons because I wanted pastel color skeletons, but I don't know where to buy them, so I just made them myself. It's easy to do, and especially if you're trying to go with a more like girly Halloween decor, it's just something you could do that's really simple. Now for the next DIY, it's something I did last year, but I wanted to place it in this video because it's one of my favorite DIYs that I've ever done for Halloween, and it is the Hocus Pocus book. What you will need to start off is a hardcover book from Dollar Tree, 2-ply toilet paper, which you will then remove the plies from, so you will end up with just 1-ply toilet paper. You will be able to see where you can peel the toilet paper apart, and you just want to peel pieces and just have enough to cover the front, back, and side of the book. And the way you are going to attach the toilet paper is by using Mod Podge. You'll add a layer of Mod Podge down and then put some toilet paper on top of that. I recommend doing at least 2 layers of toilet paper, but it's completely up to you. You could do 1 layer, you can do 2. And I like using the toilet paper because it makes the book look a little bit more ancient. Over every layer of toilet paper that you do, you want to add more Mod Podge to seal the toilet paper in. I actually really enjoy putting the toilet paper on there because it makes it just look so cool in my opinion. The next step is to get some eyeballs. So Dollar Tree does carry red and blue eyeballs. They're just literally like little ping pong balls. And what you'll do is you'll cut it in half. You want to keep the front part obviously as the main part of the eye, but the back part that you cut off, you'll also cut in half so that it'll create the bottom and lower lid that you need for the eye. Next up, you will glue the eye into place as well as the top and bottom eyelid. I just used a hot glue gun to do this, and then you want to add some Mod Podge and toilet paper to the top and bottom lid to give it some texture. Now this is the thing, when I film my tutorials, lots of times I don't really go in with a step-by-step game plan. I just kind of go with the flow. So I actually recommend getting a pencil and stenciling everything out. But because I just go with the flow and I'm like, hey, this might be a good idea, instead, I took my glue gun and I just started to mimic the designs that are on top of the book. So the designs that are raised and not flat like the rest of the book. So that would be the little thing that's around the eye, the snakes, the stitches, the snake on the very edge of the book. And the thing is, my snakes, especially the 2 that are like little emblems, they didn't come out the best. They definitely didn't. But I feel like if you stencil things ahead of time, that it would come out better. So yeah, there's that. But to get the design that I needed and to get it with that raised look, I used a hot glue gun, and Dollar Tree does carry the hot glue sticks that you can use. If you want one area to be higher than the other, all you have to do is wait for the initial layer of hot glue to dry and then add another layer on top of that. So for instance, where the little stitching is, I first, did the little cut of it, and then I waited for that to dry and then added the stitches because I wanted the stitches to be higher than the rest of like the cut part. I don't know if that makes sense. And then after you have all of the hot glue down, you then go over it again with the Mod Podge and toilet paper. You don't want to paint directly on the hot glue. You want there to be some type of texture to it because you're going to have a very hard time painting hot glue that doesn't have anything like adhere to it to give it some type of texture for the paint to adhere to. Initially put a layer of toilet paper over everything, and then I decided I wanted the snakes to be a little bit higher, and I forgot to add another layer of toilet paper, and you will see when I start to paint the snakes that paint wasn't really attaching to it. So that's why you really want to make sure that you put some toilet paper down. So let's start with the base color. I'm using this Apple Barrel Nutmeg Brown color. I got it from Walmart, only 50 cents. And I am just going to go over everything with a layer of this nutmeg color. Except for the snakes. I didn't go over the snakes with that, especially since I started to notice that I messed up, didn't put the Mod Podge, and the paint didn't even want to attach to it. You definitely want a mixture of paintbrushes. I love to use paint sponges. They're my favorite thing to paint with. But obviously you're going to need something smaller than a paint sponge. So you're just going to want like a smaller paintbrush, which Dollar Tree does carry. So if you don't have any, you can buy them at Dollar Tree. And you need that obviously to get into these smaller areas that a sponge can't reach. Now I'm going to highlight different areas. So I'm using the Apple Barrel Paint in Warm Buff. Again, it was 50 cents. And I'm just highlighting areas here and there. You can highlight honestly wherever you want. Normally you would highlight on areas you want to look a little bit more raised. So you wouldn't really want to use like a black where the snake was, because that's going to draw the eye away from it. So any area you want a little bit more attention at. And I'm using the sponge to do this. It's my favorite thing to use for highlighting. And this is the thing, from what I could see from clips and stuff of the book and the actual movie, it really looks like two-toned. It doesn't look like there's a lot of highlighting and shading to the book, but I think in person it's better to do that. So you do what you want to do. If you want it to be two-toned, you could just use one color all around and then another one to just add a little bit of shadow here and there. But for me, I like texture and I like different tones to things that I do, so I'm using different paints. Next up, I'm going to start shading. To shade, I mixed Apple Barrel black paint with some of that nutmeg brown color to get a darker brown color, and I'm using that to shade around areas, especially around these stitches, around the snake, any area that I want to look a little bit deeper. That's where I shaded. If you end up putting a little bit too much paint in a certain area, you can use your finger to blend it out, take a dry paintbrush to blend it out, or take the color you used beforehand and use that to blend the paint out. So now I'm taking the metallic silver paint, which is from Folk Art, also from Walmart, and I start to paint the silver areas that need to be silver. So that includes the thing around the eye and the snakes. And you'll be able to tell that I was having a hard time painting the snakes because, like I said, I forgot to put toilet paper on top of those snakes. So then when I went to try to paint it, the paint didn't want to stick to it. So if you forget to put toilet paper or you don't want to, you're gonna have a pain in the butt trying to paint the hot glue. It's possible, but you're just stuck doing layer after layer until there's something for the paint to stick on. So while I was stuck waiting for the layers of silver paint to dry on the snake and for me to build that up, I went ahead and grabbed this metallic gold paint, also from Walmart, and I started to paint the stitching the gold color. I don't know if this stuff is completely accurate to the book because, like I said, it's kind of hard to tell, but I did what I like, and you could do what you like. If you want to change the color of this completely, you can go ahead and do that. There are things, like I said, that I would have done differently. I would have taken a pencil to stencil everything out, and then I would have went with the hot glue. And then I think I would have added some toilet paper to the snake as well. And I don't mean to the finished product, but toilet paper to kind of add a little bit more layers so that the snake really looked like it was wrapping around itself rather than like a little bit like a little glob. But either way, I think this is really, really cool for only $4. I think it's insane that it costs $4 to make. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you every little detail that I painted on. You just want to look at a picture and mimic what you see. Like I said, mine's is imperfect, and again, it cost me $4 to make. Now, it might not cost you $4 to make if you don't have the paint on hand, but if you need the paint that I use and use the exact same stuff I used, it will cost you no more than $3 if you go to Walmart. It's really inexpensive there. The final touches that I did that I do want to share is I did end up painting the eye color green. That is the color of the eye that's on the spell book. And then I decided to paint the whites of the eye to get rid of the veins. And honestly, that was it. So that was it for this Hocus Pocus spell book. Really cool. You can make yours look even better. And there's other things you can do to get it truly looking accurate. Definitely my favorite thing I've ever made for Halloween. And I've made a lot of things for Halloween. That's it for these Dollar Tree Halloween DIYs. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully, I'm able to get my camera fixed. If not, probably gonna have to get a new one. Those things are freaking expensive, but I don't know. My luck has been crazy this year. Like, very bad, but simultaneously good because I gave birth to Cooper. So it's been the best year ever. Anyways, again, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.